Hi everyone, Rocker here. Today I want to talk about a very serious issue, and it's something that's been going on for quite a while. Is what it is on social media places like FetLife is that you will have a friend that you will invite, and that they'll join you as far as on your friends list, and then down the road is that they will take it upon themselves to be able to place you under mentorship or under ownership, or saying that you're collared to them or whatever. And this is becoming a very serious issue. I remember many years ago, would have been about 8 years ago, is there was a girl that came out to the Kitchener Munch, and she was very stressed and perplexed because there was a gentleman at that munch. It basically said that she was collared to him, and this was not the case. They went out on a couple of dates, and that was it. And every time that she would start showing an interest in someone new, is that he would basically harass that person, saying, "Hey, don't you know that she belongs to me? She's my girlfriend. We're going to get married." Da 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 da. And this was not the case at all. And so she approached myself and Rammer and Cyan at the time, and we sat down with her and to find out what's really going on. And she basically laid it out as that, hey, this guy is basically stalking me. He's making all these false accusations that I belong to him, that I'm collared to him, and I'm not. We went on a couple of dates, and that was it. And so we took it upon ourselves to be able to deal with the situation. So the next month, this gentleman showed up, and he was a former Canadian soldier, if you actually believe him, which wasn't the case, kind of thing. And he said he was part of Black Ops, which again was not the case, because Canadian soldiers we don't have a Black Ops. We have a Red Beret, which is the closest thing, but not a Black Ops. That's right from the gaming PlayStation or whatever kind of shit. But anyhow, we pulled him aside and basically said, "Hey, you can't be doing shit like this, and you're gonna remove it." And he got all wound up about it. And the place that was holding the munch is that we went to the room, talked to the owner, got on the computer, basically sat him down, and basically said, "No, you're going to remove this right now," kind of thing. And he did. And we basically let him know that if he ended up making contact with her or harassed her anymore, is that we're going to call the cops, and we know where he lives, and that we'll deal with it personally. So fortunately, he ended up disappearing. But we've had other situations on FetLife, and it happens right across the board. Unfortunately, it's happening in Gorean circles as well. As there was a gentleman about 2 weeks ago started making some noise in the Gorean gathering place, and I didn't have a clue who the fuck this guy was. And so I checked on his profile, and lo and behold, he said he had this person and this person that he had under mentoring and teaching and under ownership. The only thing is funny for him is that one of the girls I actually knew is that she used to come out to everything to do with sex show in Toronto, and I had met her there because I was doing some other things there and got to talk to her a little bit, and I knew that there's no way in hell that she would be being mentored or in any kind of relationship, online or otherwise, with this individual. And so I went on FetLife, and during one of the clashes with the Silk and Steel crowd, is I just subtly threw it out there. Hey, people that are that are in fake relationships, these kind of things, it's fake and it needs to stop. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, he removed these two individuals. So then there was a big dust up of a week ago in the Gorean gathering place, again with the Silk and Steel crowd, kind of thing, was all coming in and trying to take pot shots. And he came in and did his two things and went scurrying back to the new Coliseum. And before he left, I said, hey, that was a wise move. And I was just giving him credit, the fact that he did the right thing. But unfortunately for him is that he came back in with this false bravado with another thread saying, "How dare I do this, and I know these people, and I've been talking to them online and everything else." And I basically had to call him out on it. If he had kept his mouth shut, the subject would have been dropped. But I had to call him out, saying, "No, you cannot be adding people to your profile without their knowledge, without their consent, saying that you're mentoring them, that you're teaching them, that you have them in your collar, that you own them, whatever. You can't be doing shit like that. That's just completely bogus. It's a complete lie, and it shows every lack as far as dignity, any kind of morals that you have. And so I had to call the guy out on this. Now there's another situation that's been going on for numerous years, and this has to do with Bear Bear. And I've repeated it several times, and usually it's every time when he comes up with the whole thing about, well, Rocker, 12 years ago you did this to us and da 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 da, and you never apologized, which is all bullshit. There was an apology given, and as far as I'm concerned it was dropped. But every time he brings that up, I slam him right afterwards with the fact that, you know, he always goes on about that he's been married for 30 years and he's had a slave for 21 years and da 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 da, and I don't believe it. You know, and I've suggested it several times. I don't believe this is true. And the reasons why is no one has ever met his wife. No one has ever talked to a slave. Now you think about it. This guy's been around since, he says, 1981. He was online for basically 17 years. He didn't actually start meeting Goreans till 1997-98. Okay? But he was online all that time. He had several other online slaves during that time period. Some of them would call him up, I'm sure. Some of them would basically talk to him on the phone. But not once did his wife or his slave that supposedly lived with him ever answer the phone. Also between 1997-98 and basically 2003 is he went out to several silk and steel gatherings by himself. He did not take his wife. He did not take his slave. That in itself is very odd. Add to that the fact that his wife and his slave have never had a profile. Bear Bear is very big on talking about community and wanting to help slaves and starting up new groups to be able to teach slaves how to behave, etc., etc., etc. And yet his own two girls have never talked to another slave. His own two girls have never talked to another free woman. They've never been involved in the community in any capacity at all. And I called him out on this bullshit. So this came to a head last week as well during that whole dust up. And guess what? Today is his slave is removed from his profile. Now I'm sure he's going to come up with some kind of excuse to, oh, she passed away, or, you know, I released her because all of a sudden she's a bad slave, or she found somebody better, or whatever. But which is all, again, I don't believe it. Is, you know, he never had her to begin with. Whether he's married or not, that's a totally different thing. But even when he's married, to say that his wife is his free companion and she's not involved in anything Gorean, never talked to any other Gorean women, never talked to any other Gorean masters, obviously. You know, there's no way in hell that he would allow that. But the fact that these things did not add up. And this whole video basically boils down to this. Be honest. Be men of integrity. Be women of integrity. If you are in a relationship, say that you're in a relationship. There are also many guys that are out there that are married. But it's not on their profile. You have a lot of guys that are running around that basically are trying to catch some booty or whatever, and they're not saying that they're married. There are a lot of women that are running around doing exactly the same thing as well. You know, a lot of this bullshit needs to stop. If you are in a relationship, say that you're in a relationship. Show that you're in a relationship. It's not that big of a deal to have a picture of you and your wife, or you and your slave, or you and your master. It's not that big of a deal. You don't have to have you down and naked in Nadu, or just, you know, standing there with a whip or whatever. Just going out to dinner, going out to a movie, going to a car show, anything to be able to show, hey, this is a couple. They're proud to be a couple, and they're showing that they're a couple. There's no shame in that. Nothing to be embarrassed about. Nothing to hide, and those kind of things. But those people that are out there that are lying and making up shit, saying that, oh, this person's in a relationship with me, or I've got, you know, two people that have been with me for 30 some odd years and 20 some odd years, you need to show it. You need to prove it. You know, and with Bear Bear, you know, I suggested numerous times that it can't be the case. There's absolutely no evidence that shows that. And I was right. Anyhow, just a very brief video here, but I want to encourage you that if you're in a relationship, be proud of it. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't hide it. You know, if you've got a master, show the guy off. You know, show how happy you are to be with him. Or if you have a girl, obviously you want to be, you know, pounding your chest and say, "Look who I got. She belongs to me." You know, those things should be happening more often. If you look within Gorean circles, there's very few times, and I mean very few times, that you'll see pictures of a master and a slave together. That's unfortunate. You know, we talk about the dynamics of master-slave relationships and how powerful they are, and that as Goreans, how enriching and how fulfilling they can be, and yet we're afraid to be able to show that on our profiles. Hopefully this will challenge you to be able to maybe take a step and to be able to say, yeah, we are in a relationship and we're proud of it. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops, but just showing a simple picture of you out to dinner, both smiling, or going for a walk, or sitting down watching a movie, watching TV, whatever. It doesn't have to be anything special and spectacular. Just show that you're a couple and that you're not ashamed to be able to show that you are a couple and that you're Gorean. Anyhow, have a good day, you guys, and take care.